Hey, it's Ryan at GPI. Just an impromptu video here. We get a lot of questions about the cam phaser gears, and this is particularly a LT1 model. We have two phaser plug or phaser limiter options: a 0 degree, which fully locks it out, and a 4 degree, which will allow 4 degrees of movement before it's locked out. I'm just going to do a quick run through on installing this phaser limiter. It's not too much to it. I know a lot of people get intimidated by it, so I'm going to run through this thing from start to finish. I've already broken the bolts loose, but I'm going to go start to finish now. Key thing here is you have a mark on your gear. Always locate that at 12 o'clock in the vise. This bolt holds the spring on the outside. You're going to want to lock that before you remove that bolt completely. One spot clockwise from that mark, you do not remove this bolt. This bolt has a pin that locks the spring on the inside of the phaser mechanism. You take this out and the spring unwinds, and have fun with that. Loosen it about a quarter, half a turn, because you're going to need to pivot this plate, but do not remove it any more than that. Alright. What I like to do on this top bolt, I like to remove about halfway down the spring hook before I put the tool on there. It makes it easier to get the tool in there without messing with your reluctor ring on your cam gear here, because your cam sensor reads off of these 4 pickup spots. So you don't want to damage this, which is why we have a bolt in here to keep this clamped together, to keep from inadvertently damaging this reluctor ring. Alright. About halfway through. We're going to put this on, lock it. There we go. At this point, we'll use a 3/8 ratchet, and we're simply going to relieve a little pressure off of this. I'm going to remove this bolt completely, and this lock will keep it in place from unwinding. Okay. There we go. I think that's the most scary part for people. Now you're just going to remove the other 3 bolts, leaving the first clockwise bolt from the mark in there. This is a new phaser assembly. If your car has been ran, it's going to have oil in this, so just be aware that when you loosen this and pivot this plate out of the way, that oil is going to run out, and you'll have you some rags or a drain bucket under there to try to catch it, obviously. Okay, at this point, I'm going to very carefully remove the bolt, simply to be able to rotate the plate up out of the way. Alright. I've done these without using this bolt. It's just that you have to be really careful to not knock this plate loose. There's just a couple little pins that hold this in place. There's nothing really holding that in. Alright, at this point, you have your vanes and the hydraulic mechanism here. This phaser plug will only go in one location, and you can see this is our 0 degree plug that essentially fully locks out the phaser movement. You look at the angles on the plug, and it's only going to fit in one spot. There's one. Won't go. Won't go. The corner of these bosses are different than this one. This one is cut back where the other ones are not. This will not go in the other locations. Now you have to be careful, because I believe you can force the 4 degree limiter in all of these places, which is not going to give you accurate limiting. It is designed to go right here in the first spot clockwise from the bolt you leave in. This is the area we want you to install this limiter in on both limiters. On this particular application, we're going to run the 0 degree limiter. We'll go ahead and pop it in, and we're just going to reverse the process from here. Reassembly, you're going to want to be careful getting this top plug back in and starting these other bolts, because the spring has some tension on it right now, and it's going to want to try to, the bolts aren't going to want to start straight at first. You're going to need to use, relieve a little pressure off the spring to get started here, and once you have a couple of the bolts started, you should be good to go. So relieve a little bit of pressure. Oops, wrong way. There we go. There we go. I like to get the smaller bolts in before I put the pin bolt in the top. Yeah, started good. And it's just alright. Pull that forward. Put that in. Relieve tension. Lock. And remove the tool itself. At this point, you're just going to snug these things up.